Welcome again back to the Mental Health Digital Summit. Thank you so much for our music and our grooves. We've been having such a great time learning more about our mental health, especially during these times. So I am Jessica Bird. I am excited to be here today. I am the Walker's Legacy City Director for Detroit. I am delighted to serve you as a moderator for our last session of the day entitled Mindfulness Strategies for the Whole Family with Erica Lewis. I have the pleasure of introducing Erica. Erica Lewis received her training as a health coach from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition's cutting edge health coaching training program. During her training, she studied over 100 dietary theories, practical lifestyle management techniques, and innovative coaching methods with some of the world's top health and wellness experts. Erica's education equipped her with extensive knowledge in holistic nutrition, health coaching, and preventive health. Her selected area of focus and specialty is leading individuals and families into mindfulness and holistic living. In addition, consulting with corporations, organizations, and their employees to implement mindfulness and holistic environments in the workplace is also her wheelhouse. This can lead to better employer relationships and internal and external customer relationships, energy, and productivity. Welcome, Erica, and thank you for being here today.
Hi, Jessica. How are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing real well, lady. Good to see you.
Nice to see you. What an impressive background when it comes to knowing about how you got it interested in mindfulness strategy. So as I read your background, I was just so amazed over all of the details and how you went into family structures and how you went into self-structured as well when it comes for understanding mindfulness and mindfulness techniques. So can you just give us a brief overview of how you got started in this industry and why it fuels your fire and your passion to help others have practical mindfulness strategies as we gear through life?
Yes, yes. Well, there were a couple of family scenarios that kind of catapulted me into this scenario. First of all, my youngest daughter, when she was born, well, I should say shortly after she was born, she had some medical challenges that led us running from facility to facility trying to find answers. So that was one of the first things that happened. And as a mother, of course, being mama bear, it was all hands on deck, trying to figure out how to implement healing in my baby, mind, body, and spirit during her little challenge. And also, too, fast forward some years, it was my own encounter with breast cancer and trying to mindfully make it through the journey that was put before me and gracefully walk through what I looked at it as a storm at that time, which I now look at as one of my best teachers. But
Wow.
those two were the major and catalysts to getting me into this lifestyle.
And how old is your daughter?
She is 11 now
She is 11.
and
She's
very
11.
healthy.
So we're going to, and I'm going to pull up some of the questions and Q&A so I can make
Mhm.
sure that I am being engaging with our audience as well when it comes to questions that they may have. But for someone who mindfulness is a new strategy for them, they don't understand how thoughtfulness works and different things like that. Can you break us down with the background behind mindfulness and therapy and kind of walk us through those different structures when it comes to an individual really understanding the techniques that they have and solutions that they have to better their well-being?
Yes. Well, first of all, I like to say being in excellent relationship with your mind is one of the best things that you can ever do for yourself. No matter what line of work that you're in, no matter what your lifestyle, no matter your age, your socioeconomic background, all of us need good mental health or good mental hygiene, as one of my peers likes to say.
Mhm.
And I wish I could remember where I got that from, but I love that term, mental hygiene, because it's something we have to exercise daily. And so mindfulness is actually just a state of being. It just is a process that continuously brings you back into the present and to help you find a place of peace and calm, no matter what your circumstance is, no matter which circumstance may be in the future. So it's just continuously finding the calm and the ability to move through life gracefully.
Sounds easy, right? But it's very hard.
Yeah, it sounds easy.
It
It's,
sounds
it's
very
work.
easy. It sounds easy. And so when you think about a time like now, right, where everyone is in the midst of a crisis and a lot is coming at us at once, whether it be financially, whether it be individuals such as myself who are in a position where they have to manage work and homeschooling, and also the anxiety and different things of our children as well. Um, how do you think a person or individual and also family techniques break the cycle of like these negative thoughts and anxiety, especially in a time where it's heightened, right? The media heighten anxiety and they push these negative thoughts into our mind. And while it's good to be aware of what's going on in the world, how can you center yourself to break those cycles, but also center yourself where you're not having those negative thoughts and your heightened anxiety, especially during these type of times?
That's a good question. So first of all, I say that it's a daily work. You
Mm,
truly have to become a keeper of your mind.
mm,
Because the mind, science tells us now that we have anywhere from approximately 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day.
mm,
Most of those thoughts are fear-based, and most of them are the same thoughts that we had the day before, the week before, the month before, the year before. So they're continuous fear-based thoughts that can be running through our minds. So we really have to become intimate with our minds, and we have to truly think about what we're thinking about. So on a
mhm,
daily basis, kind of check in with yourself and say, what thoughts are running through my mind, and we'll talk about some practices we can do for that too.
mhm,
And all the while being very kind to yourself, understanding that the way that the mind operates, it runs based off fear. It's designed to keep us safe. I don't know if any of, the lovely women that we spoke about before have talked about this or not, but it's designed to keep us safe. So it's always going to say, okay, am I okay? Is this a dangerous situation? Is this what I heard about on the news? I'm coughing, so could this be COVID? You know,
mhm,
so we have to be kind and know there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. First of all, I like to say that. But also we have to be aware of support tools during this time and make sure that we're taking advantage of them. So
mhm,
one of the first things I like to say is therapy is a wonderful opportunity for anyone that's bold enough to take it. And I think everyone should during this time. This definitely is trauma. And no one is making it out of this unscathed. Rather, it's a little bit of trauma or a lot of trauma. Trauma is trauma. So,
mhm,
taking advantage of the resources like online therapy right now, taking advantage of the fact that copays are being waived by a lot of individuals or professionals, and the fact that there's a lot of free resources out there is excellent. And we also have to learn to put into our mind the thoughts that we want to think. So we actually have to be active in this process. We have to know that we're going to be okay, or at least put that thought into our mind, right? And we have to be deliberate as to what it is that we want and actually put that message into our mind.
mhm. I love when you said, and it sounds so gentle and so easy, but yet it's so hard for a lot of us to do, especially as women. Be kind to yourself. And I've been seeing a lot of things online and things, just all these different types of sorts of pressuring women to do different things, whether it's now it's the time to start your business or don't, lose your COVID weight, all these different things that are pressuring and coming at us. And I love the gentle reminder of just be kind to yourself, like, in the
Hmm.
midst of everything,
Hmm.
being kind. But you talked about fear, and you really hit on something that was really important when you said our mind is trying to protect us, right? And so
Hmm.
these fearful thoughts are the thoughts that are coming to protect us against things, right? And
Hmm.
so how does one deal with like the paralyzing of fear? The fearful thoughts that come all the time, or just feeling like they can never push forward because of that circle and that anxiety that comes with these fear-based thoughts. How does that
Hmm.
process work to embed more positivity and pass by the fear thoughts that you get on a daily basis?
Mm. So the first step is just to be aware of the fearful feeling, the
Mm,
fearful thoughts that are running through your mind. We have to know what they are first, because sometimes we can find ourselves very ourselves very stress filled and tension filled and not even know why. We're holding our bodies tightly. We're gripping our hands. So we have to know what we're dealing with. And a lot of times that comes from a stillness practice. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just taking time out of your day, even if it's just 5 minutes to sit still, put your hand on your heart, which most oftentimes is racing as we go about our days, but put your hands on your heart and actually sit down and take some deep breaths and implement a breathing practice. And it may sound funny, a breathing practice, but a lot of us are doing what we call shallow chest breathing throughout the day because we're moving so fast, anxiety based and anxiety ridden, and our body is never fully getting the oxygenation that it needs to function optimally, to take us out of that fear based state, to take us out of what's called our sympathetic nervous system, our kind of fight or flight response,
Mm-hmm.
and allow us to get into our parasympathetic nervous system, which is a place of calm, which is where healing takes place, which is where clarity takes place. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so important for us to get there. A lot of us are hardwired into that fight or flight. So by actually implementing a breathing practice and sitting still, it actually calms our bodies and allows us to feel better. So a lot of us right away, we think something is again wrong with us. We're reaching for the medications and the like. And I'm not knocking any of that when it's needed. Most oftentimes there's simple home-based things that we can do. And when you actually oxygenate yourself well and you actually breathe deeply and you inflate your diaphragm, blowing it up almost like a balloon, and then you allow it to deflate completely like a balloon that's being deflated, and do that over and over, at least 3 or 4 cycles of breath, that can calm your body enough to not feel so anxiety filled or fear filled.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds really simple, Eric, and I've seen you do this
Mm-hmm.
before. I was really taken aback by how I don't breathe. I don't do these breathing exercises a day to really allow my body to release a lot of that anxiety. So I'm going to ask you to do something super simple that I saw you do before, but I love our participants to see of what that breathing exercise actually looks like. And
Oh,
I'll make sure I'll take care of the questions, so you don't have to worry about that. But I want you to actually practice that, show us, or that breathing exercise, because when you showed it to me before, I was just taken back about how many times a day that I really don't allow myself to exhale. Do you mind giving us a tidbit of how that works, that breathing exercise works?
oh, I love to. That's one of my favorite and easiest things that people can do, to show. And I want to also say, do this with your children too,
Mhm,
because I often say during times of pandemics and trauma and stress, we forget about our little people sometimes, and they're just smaller human beings with all the same emotions and feelings that we have. So I do this with my children as well. But the breath that you're referencing is called the 4-7-8 breath. And I
for-
actually learned 4-7-8 breath. And I actually learned this from Dr. Weil from the center, the Arizona Center for Integrative Medicine, one of my favorite teachers. And all you simply do, and we'll do this together in a moment, is you inhale for a count of 4. You hold your breath at the top of that fourth count for 7 seconds. And then you exhale, and you exhale slowly for a count of 8. And I'll snap it through. So when I first do it, and we'll do it together in a moment, I'm going to, and it's hard to do it and talk, but just assuming I'm doing this, I'm going to inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now we'll all do it together. So we're going to inhale,
mhm.
hold, exhale. And one more time, we'll inhale. I'll just talk you through it. 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then just go back to and resume normal breathing. But again, you want to feel that diaphragm expanding.
That's so
And
amazing.
And for a lot of us, for women, another reason that we got caught in the shallow breathing is because societally, we're told that we need to have that flat stomach, right? So what's the first thing we do when we put on that outfit or we're going about our day? Suck it in,
Mhm,
hold it
mhm,
in. Well, that
mhm,
cuts our breathing off.
mhm.
So,
And
Make
so
sure you're sitting. Oh, go
how
ahead.
often
I'm
do
sorry.
you do that? How often do you do that breathing? Do you do it when you wake up and once you go to like what is your day of incorporating the breathing exercise?
So I do various exercises. One of my favorites is fire breathing or fire breath. That's another one. But as far as the 4-7-8, anytime I'm feeling like I can't calm down. Like if I'm going, you know that feeling where you just feel
Mm-hmm.
like you're wired up. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a good breath to incorporate when you first wake up in the morning, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in case you wake up anxiously.
Mm-hmm.
And right before bed, because this sleep can improve your rest as well.
Okay.
Or anytime, anytime.
Mhm. Love it, love it. You made the statements earlier on that one of the best gifts that we can do is to show our children what a healthy lifestyle is. And one thing that you said, and I so connect with having a 6 and 7 year old myself, is that you said we don't a lot of times we don't incorporate our children in these breathing exercises or just talking to them about the anxiety and fear. So what is the healthy mind toolkit? Like, what is something that us parents or us caregivers, not just parents, caregivers, what is some things that we should just have in our healthy mind toolkit box? Like, what is the go-to things that we should have to make sure that we're one, taking care of ourselves, and then also two, incorporating those that we're caring for?
hmm I like to say one of the best ways to incorporate your healthy mind toolkit. Well, no, let me step back. Let me say it this way. So your healthy mind toolkit, I love thought power.
Mm.
I love power talk and visualization. And I'll let you know what those are too. But
So you said thought power.
thought power,
Hmm.
power talk, and visualization.
Got it.
Those
Okay.
are the three biggest things that I say is a great healthy mind toolkit. Thought power, working with our children and of course ourselves too, but starting off while they're young, is just helping our children again come into good relationship with their minds. You know, what is their self-talk like? And you know, really listening to them when they speak. Do they say things like oh, I'm so stupid, or that was a dumb mistake, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
not good in math? You know, so really being an observer,
Mm-hmm.
noticing their self-talk and showing them how to self-correct. For example, instead of I'm not good at math, you know, teaching your children to say math is an opportunity for growth for me.
Mm-hmm.
um, Math is something I'm working on getting better at. So
Mm-hmm.
I catch my children and my girls on this growing up all the time. And sometimes they would say something and they'll look at me, they're like, oh, no, I mean, you know, and they'll try and correct it. And I did it very lovingly and gently. You don't want it to sound judgmental. So another thing they may say is, I'm not good talking in front of people. I don't want to give this presentation in school, you know, and you can actually let them know, you know, everyone is a work in progress. So they can actually say, you know what, I'm going to work on some skills to help me to get better at public speaking. So it's just kind of ingraining those thoughts in them and letting them know there's always room for opportunity. There's always room for growth. And I tell my girls, no one is perfect in any one thing, you know, no one is perfect in anything. You work at what you want to get better at. And I laugh and I say, when you're older, you could pay someone to do it for you. You know, just taking that load off of them
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
at a young
I
age.
really like when you mention catching the words that the children say to each other, especially when they're telling themselves, you know, I'm stupid or I'm not good at math. But a lot of things, especially with, you know, myself being a parent, if you could talk about catching the words that we say to ourselves as well, you know, because they watch what we say to ourselves when we're in front of them, right? And so it's been times where I've heard my children say, "Mommy, don't talk to yourself like that." You know what I mean? And so, and
Mm-hmm.
while it's so warming and gratifying to hear that, to know for them to know that that self-talk is important.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can talk about how that works as a parent and a caregiver, or just as an individual of watching that self-talk as well, to make sure that you're, like you said in the beginning, being kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very important. So that talk, what I like to say is what you think about, you bring about. That's not mine. Also, I've heard that many times. What you think about, you bring about, and what you talk about, you bring about. So just guiding them along the process of what is it that you want to see in your life
Mhm.
versus what is it that you don't want to see. So,
Mhm.
for example, using that same presentation example, and many adults, have the fear of speaking or the fear of doing certain things, just showing, just teaching them that they can set an intention and decide that something will go well,
Mhm.
because you have two choices. Either something won't go well or it will. So why not lean towards the outcome that you want? So that's
Mhm.
all we're doing with them, teaching them to lean towards the outcome that they want and to expect it, telling them
Mhm.
how powerful the mind is and the fact that the mind can only hold one thought about a certain subject at a time. It can't hold two opposing thoughts. So,
Mhm.
it's important to choose the one that you want.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
there's a powerful part of the brain called the RAS, and not to get too scientific, but the reticular activating system, which actually gets to filter messages in and out the mind. And initially is set up to where the mind doesn't get overstimulated, but we can also use it to our benefit and we can actually plant what we want to see happen. So teaching them that what they say actually puts a message before the mind, and the mind works to fulfill that message. So
Mhm.
just letting them know how powerful that process is. They can even create little mini movies in their mind of themselves giving an excellent presentation, or having that friend on the playground and not being left alone. Adults and children are like whatever it is you want to see. So teaching them that the words that they say are powerful and that their thoughts are powerful, and incorporating that with, again, the visualization, that's a powerful way to set our children up for a healthy mental habit.
I love it. I love it. And I love when you talked about our mind being able to handle one outcome. So it's up to us to choose that outcome and to be
Mhm.
intentional about the outcome we want. So that was one that was in your toolbox, and then you did three things. So we can move on to the second in our toolbox.
Mhm. So, and they all pretty much go hand in hand because we talked about thoughts. So the power talk is, again, just giving voice to the thoughts now and
Mm-hmm.
actually saying whatever that thought is that you want to see the
Mm-hmm.
outcome. So actually using that same presentation, thought process that they think, okay, I'm going to give an excellent presentation in school. And adults, we can use this for, I'm going to give an excellent presentation at work. So you actually think it, you actually say it, you give life to that. So instead of saying, oh, I have a presentation tomorrow, I'll probably bomb it. No, I have a presentation tomorrow and I'm about to rock out. So just having that, actually giving those words instead of the negative words. And then the third one would be, again, the visualization. So it's a three-step process. It's your thinking, it's your feeling, and your do to create the outcome of what you want.
I love how you tie those in together, because I've heard many times where people say you can want something for your life, but if you can't see it yourself, you can't feel it yourself, you will never have it. And so what you just mentioned in the toolbox is walking us through all of that. You have to feel it, you have to believe it, and you have to visualize it and see it for yourself to get there. And it
Mhm,
doesn't have to be, these grand things. It can be just waking up and saying today is not going to be stressful. You know what I mean? Because sometimes that's just the win for the day,
mhm,
to go
mhm,
through and it not being a stressful day. And so speaking of stress, as we navigate into going back, some people are going back into work. The world is slowly beginning to open up. In some places it already has. Can you talk about managing that stress level, and using mindfulness or thoughtfulness tips when it comes to managing stress, and I guess stress and anxiety would go together sometimes, but can you talk to us about how we can use different techniques to manage that, to manage stress?
exactly. And I know I sound like I'm, beating a point, but it's so important. Again, your thoughts, again, deciding that you'll be okay. So again, science, and there's been many, many studies to show positive thoughts can actually increase the functionality of your immune system. Negative thoughts can actually detract or take away from the functioning of your immune system. So actually, as the world is, things are starting to open back up, you can just decide that you're going to be okay, that you're going to implement, you know, procedures to keep you healthy. And that goes from everything from what you're eating and putting into your body, making sure that you're sleeping well, getting some exercise, drinking plenty of fluids too, with things like lemon. Lemon is very cleansing and very nourishing to the body and has a lot of vitamins and nutrition in it. Ginger, things with ginger and garlic. I know this isn't a nutrition talk, but all of those things help to boost your immune system. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you're laughing and spending time enjoying your life versus worrying. And I know that sounds easier said than done, but if you have a choice in what to do with your time and you're focusing on doing something joy filled or something that elevates your spirit, those things actually boost your immune system. So
Mm-hmm.
I will focus on what you can control, just making sure that you're wearing your mask if you go out. So you're doing the best things that you can. Again, and boosting that immune system however you can via your food and your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't worry. You can feed either your faith or your fear. Whichever it is that you feed is the one that's going to win. And I know that sounds easier said than done, but again, it's the practice of just implementing the thoughts continuously that you want to see come into your life. And if you feel at any time that you're stuck in a rut and the negative thoughts try and run or the fearful thoughts try and run anyway, you can just gently say to yourself, thoughts stop, thoughts
Mm-hmm.
stop. And that actually disrupts the mental process of cyclical thoughts running through the mind.
I love it. And so it sounds like a lot of it is being aware of what our thoughts are instead of our thoughts taking control of us.
Hmm.
Because sometimes you let your thoughts just rumble down a spiral and you don't do what you just said.
Hmm.
Thoughts stop, or something simple as I choose to not think this. I
Yeah.
choose to not think this way. And then also in the beginning, you talked about the power of focus as a superpower
Hmm.
for children and adults. Can you talk about I know a lot of it is tying in together when it comes to just the mindfulness, but what is the power of focus and how is that a superpower when it comes to tackling our day-to-day lives?
Yeah, so this is those that really want to get into action. And action is what really helps you with all of this, the fear, anxiety, the stress, and the like. And
Mm,
one form of action is implementing something like a meditation or a yoga practice, some kind of practice that helps you to feel better in your mind so that you can do all of this. And the goal of meditation, a lot of times people have been challenged with this saying, well, when I sit down, so many thoughts run through my mind. I don't know if I'm doing it right and the
I'm
like.
guilty.
Yeah, and then people just give up. But
Hmm.
meditation is a lifelong practice. It's almost like golf or anything else or martial arts, anything else that people work for a long time at. And the whole goal of meditation is just learning how to focus. And we can take that to outcomes that we want. So when you sit still and you go into a meditative practice, you just close your eyes and you're focused on your breathing. The whole point is just to reduce the stimuli that runs through our mind that can make us feel like we're kind of losing it, that makes us feel like I can't ever calm down. So even if you sit there and you can't stop the thoughts from running through your mind that right away, that's okay. The first step is just observation. See what it is that you're thinking. And every time you make yourself sit down, you'll get better and better at clearing your mind. And it may take months, it may take a year, it may take longer, but every time you do, the physiology of your body is getting better, healing is taking place, mental calm is happening. And there are so many studies that show that it can even add longevity to your life. So a practice like meditation or even yoga, you're not just doing active moves to physically enhance your body. That's a byproduct. That's a bonus. But what's really happening is, again, there's healing and calm that's taking place in your body. It's taking you again to that parasympathetic nervous system where your body can heal, when it can calm down. And even just 5 minutes of yoga a day, 10 minutes of yoga a day has been shown to, again, scientifically improve your body physiology, your cells, your inner body, your mind, and then your focus so that you can focus on being calm in the midst of a storm. So even with coronavirus going on, even with the racial injustices that are going on in our world, it helps you to calm so that you can see what's the next right step for me, what's the next right step for my family, and allows you to be a better keeper of your family as well.
Mm, I love it, Erica. One of the reasons that I love what you said is because one, thankfully, I'm happy you let me know that when I try, it doesn't go in vain. So
It all helps.
you hear that, ladies? We have to keep trying.
Keep it out.
There was a video on social media of someone I follow, and she posted what happens to her when she's trying to meditate, and so
Mm,
she's sitting there, and like every 5 minutes she's like dancing, and she's like, so she's trying to go back to calm, and so I appreciate of knowing that is not going in vain. We just have to stick with it because really we're training our body. But you talked also about even with crisis going on in the world and even with injustice going on in the world, the mindfulness matters. And I really appreciate that, because I know yesterday when I was working and so much was coming in, and then the injustice of what's just happening to our brothers was happening, I just had to go take a walk. And I found that to be very, the fact that knowing, you know what, I got to stop. I got to stop. I got to go take a walk, and I have to let my emotions to come and allow those emotions to come and
Mm-hmm.
take a walk, release, and then recalculate. And so I really like when you talk about, the breathing exercises and the meditating, the yoga is really allowing our bodies to take a pause from so much coming on to us daily. Do you do this with your children? Do you do yoga and meditating? Do you incorporate, and how young could we, I guess, start incorporating these exercises with children as well?
Yes, I love it. Working with children is one of my faves. I love working with human beings, period, but they're so malleable. And yes, children as young as 2 years old can start a yoga
Wow.
practice.
Wow.
Yoga, breathing. I started my girls very young on yoga.
Mm-hmm.
I started massage, them learning the power of healing touch, the power of thoughts, all of it. Because Jessica, I was a woman, a mother in my 30s, stressed, finding myself in cardiac units. As I
Mm-hmm.
said, a breast cancer diagnosis. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned all of these skills in the midst of trauma, in the midst of challenge, in the midst of trying to live. And you have the choice. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. He says you have the choice in learning these skills now while you're healthy and well before trauma hits, because life shows up, you know, or you can learn it in the midst of crises.
Mm-hmm.
As much as possible, we want to be as preventative as possible. And so when I learned all these tools in my 30s, I said, oh my gosh, what would happen? And I started searching for them as a mom online, and a lot of them I couldn't find back then. So I said, what will happen and how powerful will our children be if they grew up and this was their norm, not stress or the rat race, but a life of breathing and yoga and calm and peace, and again, moving through the storm gracefully. So at age 2, now my oldest, she's 13. I just set her up, and actually my youngest, who's 11, on the Calm app, which is a meditation app. And I set her up for daily meditation practices, and she's loving it now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so all of this, they can do all of this. Whatever I do for me as a woman, I do for them because they're young women in training.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it. And so I'm going to go to the comments. You have some really great comments about the breathing exercise. People really found that easy to remember and to do when it comes to just learning how to incorporate that into their daily lives. Also, we had some comments about the mini movie, and I really enjoyed that because there's so many times we go through the day and we have a mini movie in our head, and a lot of times it's negative. That mini movie sometimes isn't positive, and I hate to keep talking about the negativity, but as we go back, I ran into so many of my sisters and so many women who want to think positive, but they just feel they're not deserving for the positive to happen in their lives. So what do you speak to that? Because there's so many women that's like, when I think of this positive outcome, or when I think of things happening exactly the way that I plan, I just don't think I deserve that. Or, so I have to think the negative, so that, what do you say to those thoughts that a lot of times women do that to themselves a lot? What do you say to that?
Ooh, okay, so I'm excited. Now I'm going to try not to jump out of my seat because because helping women in that transformation is everything for me. And I used to do self-care parties and retreats for women, and I'm moving back into that work because it's so much needed. And that's why I serve as a transformation coach now. So beliefs are nothing more than thoughts that have hung out with us for a long, long time. And the
Mhm,
negative ones, they've hung out with us for way too long. They need their eviction notice is what's happening.
mhm.
Um, and we need to install new
They
beliefs.
need their eviction notice. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
So it's time up for a
They
lot
have
of
to
those.
go. They have to go.
They
Mhm,
have to go. And so that's what we do in transformation and transformation work. And I would highly suggest that any woman that is or individual that's finding themselves unable to disconnect or unhitch from those negative beliefs, they do transformation work. It's deep work. And what we do is we peel back all the layers, and we have to get to the root of, why don't you feel worthy, of these good thoughts, of these good things in your life?
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
why is
Mhm.
it that you're having a challenge connecting to the positive thoughts? Um, because a lot of times, we're holding on to these old stories, these trite stories, because they can become addictive because it's all we know. We're
Mhm.
comfortable with them. We have a good time with the woe is me parties. If we find anyone else who says, oh, girl, that's horrible, yes, and kind of validates those negative feelings.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, there's power in numbers. But the individuals who decide to venture outside of that and say, no, let me get to the core. And like I said, we peel everything back. Often there's reasons to why we have a hard time hitching on to the positive story or the positive scenarios, or even realizing that we're worthy of the positive.
Mhm.
That's our birthright. That's us. That's our nature, is the
Mhm.
goodness. But what happens is, as we get older in life, we have so many dings and so many things that kind of come against us and experiences, whether it's that counselor in high school that says you aren't good enough to look at that structural engineering job, or that man that you dated that says, no, if you were only like this, maybe I'd be more interested, or, that boss that said, yeah, well, no, we're going to overlook you for that promotion. All those things, they kind of become our story, and we have to kind of put that aura around ourselves and stop letting those things come in and start offering
Yes.
the messages that we know to be true. And you have to know, that you're worthy before those positive beliefs will actually adhere to you. So it's energy work, it's lifestyle work, it's training. We have to kind of pull it all apart. Evaluate all of those beliefs that have been hanging on too long, turn them upside down. Where do they come from? Are they even yours? Do the work and then put you back together again. And a lot of times on the other side of transformation, people are unrecognizable. So it's possible, to have the
Mhm.
positive beliefs and the positive outcomes. You just have to know that you're worthy.
Mm. I love when you say you have to know that you know that you know that you know.
Mm. Don't let
And
anyone tell you
don't
different.
everyone tell you different. And I
Mm-mm.
love how you walk through the fact of realizing that those negative beliefs that we don't, or the positivity that we don't think we deserve, it comes from these different things in life, right? And so really it's taking the time and doing yourself justice, really, to peel back those layers of the onion, to realize, how did I get here? And how
Mm-hmm.
do I get back to my center, to know that no matter what people say outside, I have to
Mm-hmm.
know, like you said, you have to know that you know that you know who
Mm-hmm.
you are in the inside. So it really requires us to do our homework, but it's the work that we need to do, to make sure we're living our best life and not accepting anything less. So I love it. Going to a question that we have is, are there any positive affirmation exercises, women can use to boost their self-esteem? Excellent question. Um, so, yeah, are there any positive affirmation exercises women can use to boost their self-esteem? I love that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it too. And one of the things that I did in my mirror in lipstick is I wrote in red lipstick, I am more than enough.
Ooh, I
I
love
am more than enough. Just as a starter, just that basis. And I know we're hearing it all over the place, that I am enough, I am enough. I wanted to add the more than enough. And my daughters, have it on their mirrors as well. Because remember, we're teaching the women in training and the individuals in training too. I think that's a powerful one, because until we get that down in our hearts and we believe it, and we're not searching for validation from anyone else, and we know it, until we can look in that mirror and see the beauty in us, and we can turn around and look at ourselves, all of us imperfections and all, and say, girl, yes, you are it. Until that's deep down in us, no matter what anyone else says or what the goals are or whatever, we'll always feel some kind of
That's
shortcoming.
true. That's true. Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
love it, because you talk about us believing in ourselves, and I
Mm-hmm.
think, and I think that's where so many of us get hung up, because we can get the affirmations from outside, we can get the affirmations from our spouses and the awards from work. We can still go home and feel empty because we have yet to believe it ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
I love, it really is a self work. It's something you have to believe internally. Erica, you are just, you are a light. Every time I talk to you, you really light up our conversations, and you really bring this sense of calmness in a world of urgency, and that
Mhm.
I can appreciate. So we don't have any guest comments now, but I do want to talk about this sense of urgency for all of our women that are on and things of that sort. That we're all in our careers, we may be
Mhm.
mothers. There's this sense that I'm starting to notice within the last 2 years of urgency, right? Work
Mhm.
is now becoming home. Work is on our phone now. Email is on our phone now. There used to be a sense of distinction. You were at work
Mhm.
and you were at home and you were with your children, and you had distinctions in life. And now it seems like everything is so urgent. Can
Mhm.
you speak to that? Because every time I talk to you, I am just lifted by your calmness. I'm also lifted by how you're um, easy to tell me, nope, I can't do that right now. I'm doing this with my children. And sometimes I even find that hard to say, no, I cannot. Can you speak about finding this calmness in a world that is so urgent?
Yeah, a lot of it comes just with knowing your worth, knowing your value. Again, it's that work, it's that knowing. And I have been through a major health challenge, so I have to draw boundaries, for my health when I look at it, because, my children came here for me to raise, and who better to do it than me? So I choose to be here for it. So I have to put my health, my well-being, my self-care before anything else. So learning how to say no was very big for me. I know there's a lot of talk around that, but I like to say I'm a recovering people pleaser and I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Mm,
So easily, I was a person that whenever something needed to be done in my family or with friends or in organizations that I was in, my hand was the first one up. I've been a part of a lot of organizations, and that was one of my first things. I streamlined all of that. You don't have to sign up for everything and for everyone. You don't have to say yes to everything that someone invites you to. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I learned that I used to say for a long time is if someone extended me an invitation outside of my home, I say, oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't think I'll be able to make it, but if anything changes, I'll let you know. And right off the bat, that gave me the grace to decide whether or not I was going to accept the invitation. I allowed it to be a Erica's in the room if I showed up somewhere versus having to be every single place.
mm,
And
versus
there's
obligation.
versus obligation.
Mhm,
Yeah. So
mhm,
I really, streamlined that.
mhm,
Um, I don't work outside of my hours. If I dedicated something to my children or to my family, then I do that. Um, so just saying no and knowing that, again, no is a complete sentence. I've heard that and I love that too. You don't have to explain to anyone. I used to feel guilty. I have a big family. We celebrate for everything. And I used to feel guilty if I didn't make all the family events. Now I just say, I can't make it. I'm not available. As a matter of fact, just yesterday, there was a ride-by celebration for a family member that I love, but I was exhausted and I didn't go. I sent my kids ahead with my mother. Business wise, I won't take on more than I can chew. I truly feel that when your mind, body, and spirit is aligned with your inner being, God, the universe, higher power, insert whatever your belief is there. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. You will be financially rewarded bigger than you ever know. You will get the contracts. You will get what's supposed to be coming to you because you're healthy and well enough to get it. When we create out of exhaustion in a low vibration place, meaning
mhm,
fear or worry or, oh, if I don't do this, then
mm,
your work will never be optimal. It won't yield you what you're looking for. And even if it does, it won't be sustainable. But
mm.
when you operate out of nourishment, out of an overflowing cup, healthy, strong, well, mind on fire, you'll get more than you can ever believe, working less hours and expending less energy.
Erica, I love it.
True.
I love the creating out of being exhausted. That is so true. It is never a true representation of who you are, and it never gets you the results you want. I just love it. We have time for one more question that we have, and then I want to make sure I tell all of our participants how to keep up and stay updated with what you have and how to book
Mhm.
appointments and things like that. So I want to make sure I do my due diligence there. So going into our last question is, are there
Mhm.
any ways for older women to find their happiness, things they enjoy, or their why again after years of putting themselves aside for others? Amazing question.
Yes,
We
good
going there.
question.
I love it. I love it.
I love
Destiny
it.
has some amazing questions. I love it. I love
I love it too. Thank you. And I get to answer that one. I love it.
it.
Um, First of all, it's very, very, very Western to focus on our years in correlation to our goals, values, worth, or doing whatever it is that we're put on this earth to do. Very, very Western ways of thinking. In so many other societies, um, age is considered wisdom, it's revered, it's held in a high light. And I always tell women, throw that age out of the window. All
Mm,
these misconceptions about your body breaks down after 40, menopause has to be crazy, you can't have a baby after 30 or 35. At this age, that age, all of that is very medically based. When you get in here and better yet in your heart and your
mm,
body is optimal, there's no limit to what you can do. People say you can't learn a language after being a child. I became fluent in Spanish at the age of 19, went
mm.
on to interpret at immigration court, lived in two different countries. Anything is possible. Don't let someone tell you that your age is a limit. So absolutely, at whatever your age, you can still pick up, you can redream and learn to dream again. As a matter of fact, it's an obligation that you do. You have to leave your mark on this planet. Don't let your age be an indicator as to whether or not you can still do that. Let the planet know that you were here. Dust off those dreams and start working towards them. I had a woman when I was working on my master's, there was a woman in my program that was 75 years old. She said
Mm.
after she raised the kids and the grandkids, she was still going after her dreams. So act like your age is not a number. You can have the body you want, the mind you want, the soul you want, the spirit you want, the dreams you want, the man you, whatever it is that you want. If you get your thinking, your feel, and your do in alignment and work with that higher power, anything is
I
possible.
need you to say all that again, Erica. Okay, you need to ramble it off. We can have the mind we want, the spirit we want, the man
Yeah,
we want, the career we want.
whatever.
And you. So we say snap, snap. We got some snap, snap. I agree. I had to snap, snap, and bow to that because that is so true, right? It's like all of these things are told to us, right?
It's
It's like
told to
they're
us.
told to us. It's like at 40,
Exactly.
your body can't have children, or well,
Hmm.
I'm seeing that not to be true. You know what I mean? All of these things are told to us. So I love it, Erica. Throw that age out the window and start with
Throw it
that
out the
belief
window.
and dust those dreams off, dust those goals off, and
Mhm.
let's get it going. Erica,
Yes.
you are amazing. You know I love you, and you
Oh,
know
thank you. I love you back.
I just love our conversations. I just get filled with so much gratitude when we talk because like I said, I can't say it again that you have this sense of calmness in a world of urgency
Thank
that I
you.
can just really appreciate. And so I hope all of our participants got something today from all of the wonderful panelists because this is a conversation that is much needed. So before I let you go, can you tell us what I realized to me I didn't give your full title and what you do and how
Oh,
people can
yes.
stay connected to you, and you have a YouTube channel and all this greatness that we can stay connected to. So can you share with us how we can stay connected with what you do and what you do for others?
Yes, stay connected to me. So again, my name is Erica Lewis. Erica Lewis Mind, Body, and Soul is my lifestyle company where all of this love and all this energy and all of these healing talks occur. Many different platforms. I offer transformation coach one-on-one with myself personally. In group work, I work with men, women, and adolescents.
Mm.
And also, I do public speaking for organizations, individuals, school districts, and the like, a lot of different places. So Erica Lewis Mind, Body, Soul, no and, Erica Lewis Mind, Body, Soul is my website where you can go and on my landing page there, register to stay connected for all this goodness that I love to put out into the world. I also do have a YouTube channel, Erica Lewis Mind, Body, and Soul. And actually, just going to my landing page is a good place because then you can connect with me on all my socials right there, Erica Lewis, Mind, Body, Soul.
I love it, Erica. I love it, Erica. Thank you so much for spending
Mm.
your afternoon with us today
Yes, thank you for
and
having me.
putting some gems into us for us all to take away. I really appreciate being able to moderate and speak with you today. Thank you again.
It's always good to work with you too. Thank you, Jess. Thank you for everyone who was on board with this whole process. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we have come to the end of a fantastic program. I hope that each of you were able to take away a number of important items from today's presentation. I think for me, and I'll say this, I don't know that you can close a program better than to say, I am enough, I have enough, I can be enough, I'm important enough.
I know.
All of those are so critical and important for us to continue to say to ourselves all the time. My name is Natalie Madeira Cofield, founder and CEO of Walker's Legacy. I am very thankful that you all joined us today. I also want to say thank you to each one of the presenters for bringing their authentic selves to today's discussion. I want to thank our national team for putting together such an important and impactful mental health summit. And Walker's Legacy really looks to bring programming to you that is insightful, meaningful, and provides opportunity for conversation and learning. And we do hope that you found today's summit to be impactful and important, and most importantly, very timely to where we are dealing with this pandemic on top of life. Please stay connected to Walker's Legacy for future events at www.walkerslegacy.com. We ask that you save a couple of dates that you'll find on our website. We're super excited to have Ivy McGregor, who is the head of Beyonce's Be Good Foundation, joining us for our Ask a Boss. We have another summit that we'll be doing in partnership with Howard University to support women in business coming up in June. We are also super excited to be launching our Girls Summit and its subsequent entrepreneurship boot camp this summer to support our young girls during this time and to ensure that we use this moment not only to train them, but to inspire them to know that they too can be bosses. So with that being said, I'd like to turn it over to DJ C. Devon, and she will close us out with just a few tunes. But again, thank you all so much for joining us.